Boogie boogie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom of the universe. Um, with that said, I'm here this evening a little late. Me and Duggar had to do business, and it's raining outside, drippy, 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 crummy, crummy. And I know it's a lot worse in a lot of other places than it is down here in South Georgia. So I continue to pray that everybody, stays as dry as possible and as healthy as possible. And I've had the subject for tonight has kind of sort of been on my mind for a while. And in trying to choose, like, what's the best thing that I could chat about here this Saturday night, and how so could I share it and all that kind of thing. So Isby, how you doing? Elderberry, always. David Castle, blessings. Teresa, yeah, good to see you again. Ha ha ha. Project Skyfalls, and Jody, how are you? Good to see you all. So since I've done card readings having to do with animals, I thought that I would use this book that I referred to many times called Animal Speak. It's not animals, but anyway, it's the spiritual and magical powers of creatures, great and small. And so I've had this book. This was I probably bought it the year it was printed, published, etc. What's this? Something in my book. Okay. Anyway, so I thought maybe what I would do is offer you the, participating universe, that if you have an animal that you wanted to know about, you wanted to learn more about it, or however, got a curiosity about something. But there are some things in here that I thought I would touch on, and how native peoples use things. Like, for example, there's an exercise in here, understanding what your feather is saying, breathing on feathers. There's a chapter in this book, and it's all about feather magic, for example. Here's an interesting, confirming the force of feathers. Symbolic qualities of birds, for example. So while I'm yakking here, if anybody's got an animal that they would like to know about, if they want to know about what is a totem, I'm kind of flipping through the book here to look at some of the things. Colors, positive qualities and negative qualities, for example. Symbolic qualities of flowers. The symbolic qualities of trees. Reading animal signs. Valentine's Day superstition. Now, that seems like something we could yak about for a minute. This is in chapter 4 of this book, Reading Signs and Omens in Nature. I was looking for them. Oops, I had it and then lost it. But anyway, um, hang on there. Is anybody out? The totems, west, north, south, east, above, below, within. The swallow bird. The totems, west, north, south. Now, with that said, the totems of the different directions a lot of times are related to the tribe with which you're in. So I'm going to swallow. That's one of the birds. I'm looking. QRS. Swallow. Here we go. Now, there may be a bird or two that ain't in here, but swallow is. But before I get into that one, I want to just give a little bit of back history, if you will, to a totem. If I can find that. I keep losing my place. The book keeps closing. Here's a little saying. If you talk to the animals, they will talk with you. And if you will know each other, if you do not talk to them, you will not know them. And what you do not know, you will fear. What one fears, one destroys. By Chief Dan George. Now, this is chapter 2, Awakening to Your Spirit Totems. The reality of spirit beings and their assistance to those in the physical has been a part of every major religion. The Greeks spoke to the spirits and gods through oracles. The Bushmen of Africa developed ritual and myth from the movements and activities of animals such as the eland and the mantis. The Native Americans imitated animals in dance and ritual to establish links with the spirit realm. Belief in the spiritual realms of life and all of its varied manifestations is universal. Get that? It's universal. The most common belief in many societies is that spiritual guides often use animals or animal imagery to communicate their purpose and roles to humans. In our modern rational society, there is a tendency to scoff at such possibilities. Spirit beings, right? Whether in form of spirits, angels, ancestral contact, fairies and elves, demons, and even animal totems, fill our ancient myths and scriptures. When beliefs are as universal as these, some credence should be given to them. Their descriptions show them in a diverse as humans as we meet on a daily basis. They serve many functions upon the planet. They help us to recognize our own innate abilities. They help empower us and protect us. Their energies can be used to help heal, inspire, and to grow. One of the most common forms of spirit guides are in the form of animals. Most ancient societies studied the natural world in order to understand the supernatural. Now, isn't that interesting? You know, I keep talking about um, understanding the smallest of creatures helps us to understand the universe. But in this, they study these things in nature to understand the spiritual. Gods and goddesses were often depicted as animals. Throughout this book, we will examine how nature, in the guise of animals, is a means by which the spiritual links with the physical. We will examine the symbolic and mythical aspects attributed to animals and how that should speak to us personally. A totem is any natural object, animal, or being to whose phenomena and energy you will feel closely associated with during your life. So for me, it has been hawk for a long time. And two feathers is because I found two feathers a lot, right? So that's a simple things. But the many things that hawk has done as far as showing me and awakening me to the spirit world, if you will, through the animals, is like, wow. And I've talked about many of those things. Other people may have a totem and they don't really know about it. So these pages are sticking together. Animal totems go by a variety of names. They are called spirit animals, power animals, totem helpers, and others. Regardless of how people refer to them, certain beliefs are common. Every animal has a powerful spirit. This spirit may be its own or that of a being who uses the animal image to communicate messages of the world to humans. Okay? Every animal has its own talents. A study of its talents will reveal the kind of medicine, magic, and power it can help you to develop within your own life. Remember, every animal has a speciality. Now, for me, a totem is a representation. So people say, well, can your totem change? Yeah. When I was younger, it seemed like there were rabbits around me a lot. And so, the idea of rabbit, but this was before I understood what the totem thing was, right? A long time ago, really long time ago, like 60 years worth almost. So, lifelong power animals are usually wild, not domesticated animals. Now, that's not always true, but there are a few exceptions, but even these exceptions are often just links to the true power animal. For example, people may have dogs or cats as totems. These have their own medicine and power, but the domesticated animal may only be a softened form of its wild counterpart. A dog may link to the wolf, coyote, or other wild canine family. A cat may link to a member of the wild feline family, such as panthers, lions, tigers, and such. For many, beginning with the domesticated form of the totem is a way of laying out a foundation so that someday they will be able to handle and work more effectively with its true power form. So if you've been always attracted to dogs or canines, then you may have wolf, fox, any of these things in with you. So the animal chooses the person, not the other way around. So you may like an animal and go, well, that's my totem. That's not necessarily the way it works. Many believe that they can just choose an animal and start communicating with it. Usually, ego gets in the way at these times. The individual chooses the animal he or she believes to be the most glamorous and powerful rather than what is harmonious to the individual. The results are ineffectual and often frustrating. lost my spot. No animal is better or worse than any other. Every animal's medicine is unique. It is always much better to be powerful in mouse medicine than to be clumsy and ineffectual in eagle medicine. You will find your greatest success in the animal that comes to you. So you don't choose it. Hawk came to me. I always liked Hawk, but when I climbed Trade Mountain that one time, I've discussed this, but you know, Hawk came to me and swooped down, pouring down rain and lightning and thunder, and it was sitting at a tree, right? It it comes to you. You can try to pick it, and I've always questioned, well, is that animal my totem? Well, here's the thing: a totem can change. So it may be that a chipmunks come, as it did happen to me. A chipmunk comes to you, and you go, well, it's just this tiny little chipmunk, but chipmunks have medicine too, So it's not the glamorous. Well, I'm eagle, really? Okay. And it took me a while before I actually accepted Hawk as my totem, because like I don't want to make a mistake here. And then Hawk kept showing up and showing up and showing up, and it was like, dummy, I'm your totem. Okay. So now um, Jody asked about the swallow. And I'm going to go ahead and read this about the swallow. The cycle of power for it is in the summer. The keynote is protection and warmth for the home and proper perspective. The swallow is often considered a favored bird that heralds the arrival of summer. Swallows have a tendency to follow warm weather, and thus they were considered one of the surest signs of summer. On the other hand, I have heard it is said that one swallow does not make a summer. Interesting. The swallow has its own legends and tales unique to it. One Indian legend tells how the swallow stole fire from the sun and brought it to the earth carrying the fire on its tail feathers. It is because of this action that his tail feathers are now forked and spine-like. Because of this, and because the swallow comes with warm weather, it is associated with the sun and fire. Now, I must say that there are lots of stories about how the animals got fire from either the sun or so. But anyway, this is just one. The southeastern Indians hung hollow gourds for purple martins, a member of the swallow family. And down here in the south, they still do that. An examination of martins will provide some further insight into the specific symbolism of this species. In the Middle Ages, a variety of beliefs were attributed to the swallow. Many believed that swallows knew of a magical stone or a magical herb that could restore eyesight. A study of the celandine may provide some further insight in a Scandinavian legend. The swallow hovered over the cross and cried, "Cheer up," to Jesus. Now that's interesting. A swallow nesting on a house would reflect protection and preservation from disaster, especially fire and a storm. A swallow flying high was an indication the weather would be good. Flying closer to the ground indicated rain. Now, there is truth to that. I mean, honestly, there is truth in that if you study them, okay? A study of the swallow's true characteristics and behavior will help define its role and abilities as a totem. The swallow is a small insect-eating bird. Its bill is small, but the mouth opens amazingly wide. This hints at communications between more than what they appear. The swallow feeds on many harmful insects. Swallows that nest near your home will help control pests and pesky insects. That's one reason why farmers and gardeners will put up these martin gourds for the martins. lost my place again. This hits at communications being more than what they appear. Are people saying things that actually have other meanings? Are we saying more than we realize? Do we need to listen more closely to what is being said and not be put off by who is saying it or how it comes out? It may even indicate that there is hidden wisdom in your own words or in the words of others. So if swallow's been hanging around you, that's some of the typical things. If a swallow shows up in your life, what does that say about the pesky insects in your life? Do you need to be more controlling of things in your life? Are there a lot of little irritations that are accumulating? Are you becoming too much of a pesky insect to others? Are you becoming too engrossed in the pretty mundane activities of life and not moving on? Are others doing so? The swallow brings an energy that can help us with any aspect of this. The swallow is a graceful flyer, and it actually spends little time on the ground. It is important for those with this totem to remember, do not allow yourself to become too deeply enmeshed in the mundane. And that is a good lesson for all of us. The swallow will often show up when you are allowing yourself to rehash old issues and problems and not move on. It's an indication you need some perspective. So that's not from the cards. Swallow isn't in the cards. So if anybody out there, I haven't been reading the, okay, so Teresa, so for, Teresa has said she's had eagle, and I just happened to go right to that place. Keynote of eagles is illumination of spirit, healing, and creation. Black snake. Okay, remind me, Elderberry, if I forget. Cycle of power, all seasons and during daylight. The eagle is one of the most greatest and most admired birds of prey. It has served an inspiration to many societies. Their ability to soar and hunt amazes and thrills those who are witnesses. Eagles, in fact, are so good at getting food, they spend very little time hunting. The fact that they are good at feeding themselves from the land and still soar to great heights in the sky reflects much about the hidden significance of eagle who comes as a totem. They will teach a balance of being of the earth, but not in it. I'm going to read that again. Eagles will teach a balance of being of the earth, but not in it. Every society that has had contact with eagles has developed a mythology and or mysticism about them. In the ancient Aztec tradition, the chief god told the people to settle at one place where they find an eagle perched on a cactus, eating a snake. This place would become Mexico City. The eagle was sacred to Zeus, who often changed into the form of an eagle to help himself control thunder and lightning. The Sumerians worshipped an eagle god, and the Hittites used a double-headed eagle as a symbolic emblem so they would never be surprised. In other words, double-headed, see both directions. The eagle has also been associated with Jupiter, and it was a strong emblem for the Roman Empire. In Egyptian hieroglyphics, the eagle is a symbol for the vowel A, and also a symbol for the soul, the spirit, and the warmth of life. In early Christian mysticism, that's what it says, and we have to understand that early Christian religion was mystical. The eagle was a symbol of resurrection. The thunderbird to the Native Americans is most often depicted in the form of an eagle. This was the great spirit who controlled lightning, rain, punishment, and reward. To the Plains Cree, all eagles had mystical power, and those powers could be shared by anyone who possessed part of the bird. So, in other words, if you have, an eagle feather is against the law unless you're Native American, but is also considered one of the most powerful instruments to the native peoples. To the Pueblo Indians, the eagle was a bird of the sky with the abilities to spiral upward until it passed through a hole in the sky to the home of the sun. It was associated with all the energies of the sun, physical and spiritual. The Pueblo Indians honored 6 directions: north, south, east, west, zenith above, and nadir below. So, Teresa, that's sort of what you was um, asking about. The eagle was a symbol of the zenith because of its ability to soar into great heights. From these heights, it could survey all 4 directions. They became symbols of greater sight and perception. The Hopis, the golden and the bald eagle, were the greatest of all birds of the sky, but these are the only 2 eagles that live upon our continent. Some groups of Hopis also included the red-tailed hawk as an eagle, referring to it as the red eagle. Now, the red-tailed hawk is what is my totem. So there is this correlation between hawk and eagle. There are 59 species of eagle, and they are often divided into 4 categories: fish and sea eagles, snake eagles, harpy or giant forested eagles, and booted eagles. But there is always a great deal of many varieties within these 4 groups. When it comes to coloring and feather patterns, every eagle is unique and beautiful in its own way. Fish and sea eagles are those who live primarily upon a diet from the sea. Upon the North American continent, the bald eagle is part of this category. Those who have a bald eagle as a totem need to look at the symbolic associations of water. Water and fish are often symbolic of the psychic aspects of life and the creative energies. Water is also an area that separates land from the heavens. Thus, a bird of the water, such as a fish or sea eagle, reflects an awakening ability or need to learn to walk between worlds. Interesting. Water is the creative source of life, and living near natural water sources may be important to the health of those who have a bald eagle as a totem. An eagle hunting in the waters must be able to penetrate the waters, grasp what it requires, and then rise out of them. All this reflects increased ability and need to learn to work with emotions, psychicism, and all aspects of spirituality with greater control. It reflects teachings about true mediatorship, or being able to enter and exit the more ethereal realms at will. Barry's got an eagle. Hi, Doug. How are you? David Castle, greetings. Chloe, hi. So, there are 3 or 4 more pages of eagle stuff in this. So, and I didn't really want to spend that much. I'm trying to spread this out. Somebody had something, and I forgot who said it. So, whoever that was, tell me what animal you wanted me to check. I done forgot in looking through this. The Harvey Eagles are the largest and most powerful. None of these are found upon our continent of the United States. They have huge claws and can be used for grabbing larger prey, including deer. Wow. An examination of the particular food preference of the individual harpy eagle will provide further insight. The other type of eagle found upon this continent is the golden eagle. It is part of the booted eagle group. Booted eagles, in general, usually have a majestic mantle of feathers on their head and neck, and their legs have a very heavy covering of feathers, so that it looks like that they are wearing boots. Black snake. Okay, thank you. The two that are the most important to those upon this continent are the bald eagle and the golden eagle. The bald eagle is larger than the golden, but it cannot fly as high, nor is it as considered as graceful. The bald eagle is often the symbol of the feminine, while the golden eagle symbolizes the masculine. Now that's really interesting. The white feathers of the bald eagle, especially, are often treasured as they are links to grandmother medicine, tremendous wisdom, healing, and creation. The feathers of eagles are sacred to Native Americans, and since the eagle is protected by the United States government, it is a felony for anyone to possess such who is not of Native American blood. The feathers, though, are used in powerful healing ceremonies, cleansing the aura, and even for shape-shifting. White and black tip feathers were often used on the masks of the Pueblo Indians to give the appearance of white and black clouds. Again, we see the ancient connection to the mysteries of the sky and all of its phenomena. Now, let me look through here. I hope this is interesting to y'all. I mean, I try to pick a subject, and I've had this book, and they've been kind of hollering at me to get it out and talk about it. So let's see. They've got insects, four-legged birds. I got to find the reptile section. So now, just in saying, and I've talked about this before, but snakes gotten a bad rap. And one of the things we need to understand about the snake, well, the snake was the viper in the Garden of Paradise. Yeah, but did the snake choose it, or did the entity choose the snake? See, so we blame the snake when the snake didn't have anything to do with it, right? Honestly, um, I'm looking. No way. There are so many chapters in here. I'm still looking, but anyway, to people who, it's the snake's fault, is just um 353. It's at the very back of the book. Okay, 353. Now this is chapter 17. It's the dictionary of the reptile world. So this is the magic of the reptile world. Snakes and lizards, crocodiles, alligators, tortoises, turtles, and the tuatara found in New Zealand. Reptiles are one of the most ancient forms of life. They are also the most adaptable, which has enabled them to survive through millions of years of evolution. There are over 6,000 species of reptiles found around the world and living in all environments except the extremely cold. Four main groups have survived since the time, meaning reptiles. Of these groups, the turtles and crocodiles survived the great extinction of the dinosaurs. They have remained relatively unchanged since that time. Because of it, they are replete with myths and tales from all parts of the world. Reptiles have basic characteristics that distinguish them from other forms of animal life. Reptiles are first and foremost cold-blooded. Their body heat changes with the temperature of the air and the environment around them. While mammals have an internal thermostat to maintain a steady body temperature, the reptile must seek out an environment that will help it to survive. This is why snakes and lizards are often seen basking in the sun. They need that warmth to help them survive. They must use an outside source of heat to raise and lower their internal temperatures. To those with a reptile totem, this is very symbolic. It indicates a great sensitivity to the environment to which they are exposed. It is not unusual to find individuals with prominent reptile totems to have dramatic mood swings in accordance to what their environment is. Think about that. That's interesting, right? So if it's cold outside, that person may be cold and chilly and frigid to you. Anyway, they often take on the tone and temperature of their environment. If in a group that is partying wildly, they can easily go along. If in a group that is studious, they will become so as well. If in a group that is cheerful and loving, they will display similar characteristics. Now, there's several more pages about reptiles, but we wish to speak about snakes, lizards, the snake. Now, y'all hold that for a moment. It's 10:17, and I was told that y'all would understand if I disappeared if I had to go pee. So hold that thought. I'll be right back with snake. And if you gotta pee, it's also almost 10:20. Load your bowl. Thank you all. That was, let's have coffee. It was too much coffee earlier for me to wake up. I was feeling a little sluggish and drank a bunch of coffee to wake me up. Anyway, so the snake. And now that it's 10:19, smoke if you got them. It's 4:20 somewhere. Yum, yum, eat 'em up, eat 'em up. It's an old Little Rascals thing. Hoping can stream until. Do you know that doing that 4 or 5 hours wears me out? The next day, I'm like, I feel like I have, just crossed, not necessarily a desert, but I just feel like I've walked 500 miles and back, I'll be face planting. I won't make that tonight. Me neither. So, snake, rebirth, resurrection, initiation, and wisdom. Now, to put it to the black snake, you would simply discuss what does black mean and then the snake, okay? Of all the reptiles, maybe even all animals, the snake has been the subject of great controversy and paradox. Religious sources argue over whether it is the symbol of the higher or the lower. What stupid song? I've walked 500 miles. If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. I walked 100 miles away from home. Away from home. Is that the song? Away from home. Away from home. Away from home. I walked 500 miles away from home. Anyway, that's one song. Religious sources argue over whether it is the symbol of the higher or the lower, sometimes seen as devil and sometimes as healer, as in the snakes for the medical thingy, right? It is an animal that truly has earned the mythical reputation. In the Americas, the snake served as a prominent symbol in art and lore. To the Native Americans, the snake is a symbol of transformation and healing. Snake ceremonies involve learning to transmute the poisons within the body after being bitten multiple times. Now, I ain't going there with that. I have done a lot of stuff in water, fire, air, that kind of thing, but I'm sorry. There's snakes that live around here, but I just am not into one biting me. I don't think I want to go there. That's not my shamanic journey, if you will. The snake ceremonies, let's see, survival of this would then enable the individual to transmute all poisons, physical or otherwise. It activated the energy of kill or cure, ultimately leading to dramatic healings. Now, here's one thing that, a rattlesnake bite, if the poison can be used as an anticoagulant. So although the bite, if enough venom is then injected into the body, then it will stop the blood flow, But at the same point, if you're bleeding out and you need to stop the blood, it was on, I think it was on Scorpion, the show. I didn't even know it was a show until I started going to Netflix and all them. Anyway, I think it's more on CBS. But so they went and found a rattlesnake and milked it and gave it to the person who had, was bleeding out to stop the bleeding as an anticoagulant. So it's like, it seems far-fetched, but why do you think that they, milk the snakes? It's not just as an anti-venom, okay? How many people, actually get bit by a rattlesnake these days? I mean, so why would they need anti-venom and why would they need rattlesnakes? And because it has, It is an anticoagulant. So, in the Mesoamerican societies, the serpent or snake was depicted as feathered and flying. Could that be like a dragon? That's just my observation. It was a symbol of their greatest god and hero, Quetzalcoatl. The story is of the myth of a dying god who would someday return. In many ways, he was the patron god of the Toltecs, and it was said that the heavens and stars and all the motions of the universe were under his dominion. He was the master of the winds and of the clouds, and the protecting genius of his people. How about that one? But have you ever heard that from somebody? You know, in Greece, the snake was also a symbol of alchemy and healing. The god Hermes carried a staff upon which were entwined two snakes. This caduceus symbol is the primary symbol of modern medicine and of doctors. It is a symbol of wisdom expressed through healing. Now that's interesting. Wisdom expressed through healing. So, in order to become a really good doctor, you're probably older than other folks because you have the wisdom. Anyway, in India, the goddess of Vinata was the mother of snakes and a symbol of water and the underworld. Now, a lot of snakes live in the ground, so because Mother Earth stays a constant temperature. Also in India, there were demigods and Nagas and their beautiful wives, Naginas, who were unusually, something's running in the background. Anyway, Naginas, who were usually depicted as half cobra and half deity. The god Vishnu is often depicted sleeping on the serpent of eternity called Ananta. Shiva wears snakes for bracelets and necklaces, representing sexuality. The serpent and the snake has long been a symbol of sexual creative life force within humans, as is taught in Eastern traditions. The Kundalini, or serpent fire, lies coiled at the base of the spine. As we grow and develop, the primal energy is released, rising up the spine. This in turn activates energy centers in the body and the mind, opening new dimensions and levels of awareness, health, and creativity. In Chinese astrology, one of every 12 years is named for the snake. Those born within that year are believed to have the qualities of compassion, clairvoyance, and charm. They usually need to learn lessons associated with forgiveness, superstitiousness, and possessiveness as well. A study of Chinese astrology will help you with this. In Egypt, the snake also had mystical significance. The uraeus is a headband in the shape of the snake. The head of the snake rests and sticks out at the brow. And you've seen those with a little snaky thing in the front, right? It was believed to represent a state of inner sight and control of the universe. Now, to be in control of the universe, that's some shit right there. It was a symbol worn by those who were initiated. Some believe it to be variations of the eye of Horus, while others see it as the sacred eye of Ra. It represented a certain degree of wisdom and understanding. Because it sheds its skin, the snake has long been a symbol of death and of rebirth. It sheds its skin as it outgrows the old. This death and rebirth cycle is part of what snake represents. It has ties and significance to the ancient alchemist and their symbolic transmutation of lead into gold. This is associated with higher wisdom that comes with the passing of time. This cycle of death and rebirth is often symbolized by the Ouroboros, the ancient image of a snake swallowing its own tail. It is the symbol of eternity. Before the snake begins to shed its skin, its eyes will begin to cloud over. It gives the snake a trance-like appearance. It's creepy if you've ever seen one just before they shed. To many mystics and shamans, this indicated the ability of the snake to move between the realms of the living and the dead, of crossing over from life to death and then back to life again. As the skin begins to shed, the eyes begin to clear as if it will see the world anew. And the eyes are the first thing, because they shed it from the head. And so the eyes are the first thing to, one of the, other than the nose, this is the first thing that, becomes uncloudy and becomes clear. For this reason, alchemists often believed that wisdom and new knowledge would lead to death and rebirth, enabling the individual to see the world from an entirely new perspective. The snake has often been depicted, along with its relatives, the serpent and the dragon, as a guardian. Now, that's what I consider the snakes around my house to be, a guardian. It is found in myth and lore, guarding treasures, the springs of life, or sacred places. The snake serpent guarded the tree on which the golden fleece hung in the Greek tale of Jason and the Argonauts. The snake is sinuous and fast. Although many people think of them as slimy, their skin is very dry, and that is true. You can pull them out of the water and they're still dry. In fact, humans are slimier than snakes in a lot of ways, yes. If a human runs his or her hand on the floor, it will pick up dirt. A snake skin will not, which is why it is able to slide and move in the manner that it does. A snake attacks quickly. It raises itself up and strikes quick, hard, and true to its mark. It's not unusual to find those with this totem who can respond the same way if need be, just like the snake. It is best not to anger snake people, although slow to lose their tempers. Once lost, their bite is quick, sharp, and direct. They almost always hit their mark. They may end up swallowing you whole or just poisoning you in some way. Anytime a snake shows up in a totem, you can expect death and rebirth to occur in some area of your life. Now, if snake is your totem, then you understand the death and rebirth, okay? And you accept it. This rarely reflects an actual death, but rather a transition, okay? So, whoa, I got a snake, it keeps showing up on my life. Okay, then you're transitioning. And rather than freak out about it, go, I'm being showed snake a lot. I must be, there must be many lives within that I must shed in order to grow spiritually. So think about that. Anytime snake shows up in look for a change in conditions and a movement to new life. Examine what is going on around you. Are you needing to make changes, but aren't for some reason? Are you trying to force change too quickly? Are you striking out at people and shouldn't be? Are you not striking and maybe you should? Remember that a snake is not only uses its venom and bite to overcome a prey, but also for defense. What is needing to be healed if snake comes across your path? What new opportunities are surfacing that you need to strike out for and take advantage of? And I'm going to add this, and also shed an old skin to start out anew. Because if you start a new job and you keep all the old habits from your old job, it doesn't work. It can also reflect that your own creative forces are awakening. The stimulation of the Kundalini usually has psychological as well as spiritual consequences. Physiologically, it can activate the sexual drive, bring more energy, etc. Spirituality, it can stimulate greater perception of how to apply your insight and intuition. To your own vision and intuition will become more accurate. To understand the specific role your snake totem will play within your life, first begin by examining the form it takes. This alone will tell you much. Every snake has a head, body, and tail, and there are wide varieties of snakes. Some are poisonous, almost all can bite, and some squeeze and strangle their prey by coiling around it. Examine your snake's markings and the patterns of its scale. A diamondback rattler is named for its pattern. Examine the significance of geometric shapes. This will help you to define the role of the snake will have in your life. The rattlesnake, for example, moves around only during the cool hours of the night. Extreme heat is deadly to it. You may find for yourself that becoming a more nocturnal would be of benefit. It has side-winding motion to its movement. It also has a special sense organ, a small pit in the head, that reacts to heat put out by other creatures. Always examine some of the qualities and characteristics of the snake in general. Snakes are carnivorous. They swallow their prey whole. To be able to do this, they have to unhinge their jaws. And if you've never seen this, it's really amazing. Tiny little snake, will swallow this chicken. Some people have associated hypnotic qualities with the snake because of its stare. The unblinking stare occurs because the snake has no eyelids. In learning to use the eyes to mesmerize and to look into the hearts and souls of others directly is part of what traditional snake medicine can teach. It may even indicate a need to look more closely into your own heart and soul. So, as anybody else, snakes only hunt for food. Yeah, that's right. And they will only strike back if they're being attacked. Johan, how you doing? And they only attack when they feel their own life is threatened. Poor little snakes. Yeah. When you come across a 6 or 7 foot snake, though, back in the day, it was common to see an 8 or 9 foot rattlesnake, and I have seen 7 foot long moccasins, and their head is as big as my fist. I'm not joking. And a rattlesnake is one thing. What did I just say? We're all happy you're happy. Whoever's happy. Puff adder. Yeah. And there's this puff adder that will raise itself up and looks extremely like a cobra. And they'll hiss and attack you. And I've never seen one more than about 3 4 foot. 4 foot is a big one. But they won't back down. They'll like chase you away. Yeah, rattlesnake as big as your hand as well. I remember when I was living near Berlin, Georgia, many years ago. Moccasins. Thank you, John. Johan. Moccasins. Yeah. I was down in the woods with my friend Serge many years ago. And the interesting thing was the night before, I'd had this dream. And I woke up and I was sweating and like, snakes. We got to be careful of snakes. And we had planned this to go down on the river for several days in a row and to go down and collect stumps for a water garden. And so we'd gone down there and everything. And I went over there and I told him, I said, man, I just can't tell you, there's this thing about a snake. And they were warning me, and holy crap. So I said, we got to be careful today. So a couple hours later, we're down on the river and we're going through this big pile of log sticks, things and stuff that has gotten caught between two trees, and the water goes around it on one side. And so, it's completely blocked the river, with this log jam. So we were cleaning out these because there's this one log we really wanted with the shape and everything. And every time we'd been on the river, like for a couple of years, one of these days we're going to get that log. Well, the day to go get that log was that one. So I've got a hatchet kind of thing in one hand and a stick in the other, and I'm flipping things up and moving them. And I put the stick down and went to reach for another stick. And I was like literally this close to this moccasin whose mouth was open and bigger than my hand. And I screamed like a little girl. I mean, like a little girl. I can't hit that note now, but it was an way up there, and I'm standing on a log jam, right? So I jumped back, not caring, where my feet were going or anything. And about that time, he said, where? And I was like, there. And it was a huge moccasin. We've seen a lot of snakes down in the swamp before, but never anything this big. And it was like, some people say, you're joking. No, this snake was this big around. Water moccasins have a tendency to be shorter and squatter and a lot fatter than like a rattlesnake, or any other kind of snake, actually, unless they've just eaten. So they're fat and lazy, but this thing, it went down behind the tree and it kept going and it kept going and it kept going. And it was like, oh shit, that thing was close enough that it could have bit me on the face. I mean, I still have not necessarily nightmares about it, but that, oh, holy crap, I was really close to getting that snake venom, if you know what I mean. So with that said, sorry, had to blow a nose. But anyway, so lots of interesting things about snakes, and folks have got their own stories. And there's quite a few other snake stories I could discuss, but let's go on. Does anybody else have a... Yeah, I'm not so bad about roaches, but let me tell you, there was a spider in my sink yesterday that, oh my God, it was a great big wolf spider. And I mean, it was like that big between the bot and creepy, not just normal. I see some of them like they're pretty big. This one was one that I just like, oh shit, I'm raising these things in my house. I tried to get in my boat and we were 7 feet from the shore. My cousin ran on water like Jesus. I understand that. I really do. I get that. Have seen other people do that. My first wife, we were down in along this pond, and the backside of the pond, it was really swampy. So she's not near the swampy area, but getting close. This one scared the crap out of me, Johan. I ain't lying. It's still kind of parked in the sink. I'm like, anyway. But I was going around and we're fishing for brim and got a cane pole and, we're putting stuff out. Did you howl at Hawkeye? The wolf spider, right. Hi, Michelle. Glad you're fully back and front. But I seen her with her cane pole just, off. I don't know. It wasn't too far where she was, just smacking at the water with her cane pole. And she was like, leave it alone, go away kind of thing, and And as I'm watching her, I turned to my right because she was off to my left, and I heard this hissing sound. Now, I hadn't been in Georgia to live, but a couple of months. So I was new to the area, if you know what I mean. So I'd been down in the swamps in Florida and around Tampa. And I never, you'd see the odd snake once in a while, but I've tripped and traced and floated all over that swamp and never seen anything like what was here in South Georgia, right? So I'm like, there's a snake. Well, we'd hardly ever seen him in around Hillsborough County, but come up here and I look to my right and I'm standing in a little deeper than ankle deep water and I'm fishing between the trees, right? Out like this with my cane pole. And I turn to my right and I see this snake hissing at me between the cypress knees, right? Sticking up. And that bitch or it could have been a male, could have been a female, don't care. But that snake chased me all the way back. And I mean, I was running because I was in the water and I'm trying not to step on things and trip. And I turned around and that snake is like still getting it towards me. And I'm like, holy crap, what the, I knew it was a moccasin, but it was my first time ever encountering them in the wild at that time. So when I got back over to where my wife was, she's still slapping in the water. I'm like, what is it? She goes, this damn snake is eating the fish off of the stringer. And sure enough, she held this up. She pulled on the stringer, and there's a moccasin at the end of it eating the fish off the end of the stringer. And I'm like, hey, it's starting to get dark here. Let's get out of here and go fishing some other time. But anyway. A rattlesnake is very louder than the video sound. I'm listening, but can't chat for a bit. Okay, Doug. Colbin, how are you? That snake had heart. And I have seen many alligators, in the wild, starting with down in Tampa and up in there. It was a chaser. It did tell me who was boss, Johan. Honest to God, I was like, now there was a 4 foot long snake. So, for a moccasin, it was a good sized moccasin. Because if you get one that's 6 or 7 foot, that is like an ancient, huge moccasin. And that one that, that almost stuck my hand in his face, Anyway, so has anybody else got an animal this even covers insects, okay? 4-leggeds, birds, deer, buffalo, bobcat, beaver. I'm going to read beaver. Hey, Judy, how are you? I'm going to read about beaver because beaver has come up in a couple of conversations, and it is one of my beaver and otter, ostrich. Whoa, that's an interesting one. Have been in my as my water totems, I guess you could say. Woodpecker. Okay, pick one. Ostrich or woodpecker? I got to find the bird section. This is Understanding Animal Medicine, and it's just a little saying I thought I would. Polk County. You're in Colquitt County? That's where I'm at, Judy. Do I know you from somewhere? In the beginning of all things, wisdom and knowledge were with the animals, for Tuawa, the one above, and did not speak directly to man. He sent animals to tell man that he showed himself through the beast and that from them and from the stars and the sun and the moon, man should learn. For all things speak of Tuawa. Woodpecker, woodpecker. Okay, I'll get there. So, but this was Chief Lectos Lesa of the Pawnees tribe circa 1904. So we've not met each other, but we still live in the same county. Holy crap. I'm down towards Megs. Where are you at, Judy? But anyway, so let me go to Woodpecker. And here we are, the next page. Woodpecker, the power of rhythm, and that makes sense. Oh, I have. The power of rhythm and discrimination. I've met your son and granddaughter. Interesting. Now that's going to bother the crap out of me, Judy. You know I'm in the phone book. Call me sometime. The woodpecker is one of those birds whose history is filled with myth and lore. Much of it in connection with it is most notable characteristics, the drumming. It is a relative of the flicker, which was described earlier, and they share many of the same qualities and characteristics. I'll have to read that, right? In the European folk tradition, the woodpecker was often considered a weather prophet. Its drumming indicated forthcoming changes. Now, if that were true, the woodpecker in my backyard, the weather would be changing all the time. I don't quite look at the woodpecker that way. It was even believed by some to be a thunderbird. In Babylonia, it was considered the axe of Ishtar. How about that? And was associated with fertility. In the Greek tradition, it occupied the throne of Zeus. Considered sacred to this god of thunder, it was also considered the oracle of Mars, again because drumming was often used to accompany battles. The Romans also had a legend of the woodpecker. The powerful enchantress Circe fell in love with the woodland god Picus, where when he rejected her love, she turned him into a woodpecker. That's interesting. In the Native American tradition, it is a bird connected to the heartbeat of Earth itself. This drumming has many mystical connections, from new life rhythms to applications of shape-shifting. Many shamans learn to ride drum beats into other dimensions. Many shamans learn to ride drum beats into other dimensions. Now, I had not heard that. That's a new one on me, and I've read this book through and through quite a few times. I tell you, I have forgotten more than I have learned. I think sometimes when I talk about certain things, I know the information because I've read it, learned it somewhere, right? And I'm like, there'll be times when I go, now, where did I actually learn that? And then I'll read through a book that I haven't picked up in a while. And there I am. There are, of course, different kinds of woodpeckers, each with their own unique qualities. Most are black and white, and some have red upon their head. The black and white reflects the need to see issues and aspects of life clearly. It reflects that things are fairly clear if we look closely. The Downy Woodpecker is the smallest. It is also the most common and most friendly member of the woodpecker family. The pileated, found most often in forest, is the expert woodchopper. One is often as big as a crow or bigger. The ones that have been around here, they're bigger than crows, okay? It is the conspicuous red crest. The redheaded woodpecker is also very common. While most woodpeckers, particularly males, have some red on the head, the redheaded woodpecker has a red mantle of feathers that covers its head and neck. Woodpeckers peck holes in trees. Wait a minute. Missed one. The red found in the head area of any woodpecker reflects a simulation of the mental activities and the head chakra centers. It reflects a stimulation and wakening of new mental faculties. This is even further symbolized by the pecking that is the trademark of this bird. Woodpeckers peck holes in trees and wood to get at grubs and other insects. This digging in, especially with the head, reflects increasing analysis. Their bills are strong and sharply pointed, and their skulls are heavier, facilitating the hammering. Their sharp bill and its long barbed tongue can be likened to the art of discrimination. If a woodpecker has drummed out a song for you, then you should ask yourself some specific questions. Are you looking at aspects of your life rationally? Are others around you not discriminating in their activities? Are you or others in your life just jumping into situations with little or no analysis? Sometimes a woodpecker will show up just to stimulate new rhythms. Rhythm is a powerful means of affecting the physical energies. Sometimes it is easy to get so wrapped up in our daily mental and spiritual activities that we neglect the physical. I've been having a slight bout with that. This can be when the woodpecker shows up. It may also reflect a need to drum some new changes and rhythms into your life. The woodpecker has strong hook claws for firm holds upon a tree. Its tail feathers help to prop it upright. It also has a peculiar up and down flight. It goes like this. When they kind of, it's interesting. Anyway, this can be when the woodpecker shows up. It may also reflect a need to drum some new changes and rhythms into your life. The woodpecker has strong hook claws. Its tail, it's also peculiar up and down flight. It will fly, coast down, fly, and then coast down. It flies in a manner and rhythm unique to itself. Very true. All of this serves to emphasize the fact that it would become increasingly important for you to follow your own unique rhythms and flight. Do what works for you in the manner best for you. When woodpecker comes into your life, it indicates that the foundation is there. It is now safe to follow your own rhythms. So with that, and I got a lot of woodpeckers in the area. And when Duggar and I went walking the other day, we actually took a walk this evening, but the woodpeckers were quiet. They not making much noise in the rain. But there are several trees like just right out back that the woodpeckers have been pecking at. And there's also, I cut down part of one of those trees, but it's the ladderback. It's sort of a small bird. And it's not very, maybe this big, maybe, this, but the ladderback, and there are a couple of different kinds of those, but they're small birds. And in some of the legends that I have found, and in something that came to me years ago, and I've been trying to find whether or not Creator gave me the story, or whether or not the woodpecker and that signal was just different. But anyway, if you ever really if you're in the wild, now in the cities there are woodpeckers and people see them all the time. The woodpeckers get used to people. But to a certain point, woodpeckers, if they know that you're staring at them, will go to the other side of the tree. And in many instances, they were called the hiding bird because they'd knock and you could hear them. But if you went to find them, you could find the tree where they were knocking, but you wouldn't find the bird. So, and I'm not quite sure where I heard this. And like I said, maybe it was, something that was in the dream world that I brought back with me. But it was very specific in that, for all its noise, it's hard to actually go up to a tree and see a woodpecker pecking. I can watch one outside through the window here, but if I go out that door, I can't. I won't see it. I go out the back door and wait to see if the ladderback will come back into these trees up here. But they're hiding from me. I come back in the house, sit here in the chair, and look back out through the window right there, and it'll come back out and start pecking in the same spot. I try to go outside, gone. Hiding bird. Yeah, so I'm here listening, putting groceries away. Love to you too. Coal bin, hummingbird. Yes, hummingbird. I'm going to read hummingbird from the card book, medicine cards, because hummingbird has got a really interesting yep, it's last in the book, number 44. So it was December 4th, 2018 that I received these cards. I wrote it in the back of the book, in the notes section. So there's hummingbird there. And let me quail. So H is this way. The loons. Oops. Very similar to what's in this and you can see woodpeckers, but my point though, you'll see them from a distance, but if you try to get close to them, they'll move, fly away. Anyway, not all, but out in the woods, try to get close to a woodpecker. It ain't happening. You can sit down and be quiet, and they'll show back up on a tree. But if you think you're going to walk up on one, nah, not usually. 99%, I would bet. Okay, hummingbird. The keynote is tireless joy and the nectar of life. Cycle of power is the daytime. There's about 2.5 pages here of these size pages versus the little book. The hummingbird may be the smallest of birds, but it is also the most fascinating. Anyone who's ever seen this tiny bird is filled with a sense of wonder and joy. Its name comes from the vibration of its wings as it flies or hovers. We have all heard how good it is to whistle while you work, but humming is much more effective. It creates an internal massage, restoring health and balance. This, the hummingbird reminds us to do. It reminds us to find joy in what we do and to sing it out. There are over 300 species of hummingbirds. This is very significant. In the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Shin is given the numerical value of 300. This is associations with fire and relationships, past and future. As we will see later, this is even reflected in the wing movement of the hummingbird. It has the ability to move its wings in a figure 8 pattern, a symbol for infinity, and links to the past and future and the laws of cause and effect. Interesting. Hummingbirds have long bills and tongues that enable them to extract nectar from flowers. In fact, they could not live without flowers, and many flowers could not live without pollination by hummingbirds. Again, this reflects the mysteries of cause and effect that the hummingbird can teach us so that you can extract your own nectar. Hummingbirds have knowledge of how to use flowers for healing. This includes their fragrance, their color, and herbal qualities as well. They can teach you how to draw the life essence from them and create your own medicines. As in the case of the Bach flower remedies and other flower elixirs, they can teach you how to use flowers to heal and win hearts in love. The hummingbird is the most skillful flyer of all the birds. It can hover in the air, it can fly backward, forward, sideways. In fact, it cannot walk. It flies everywhere. It reminds us that if we truly enjoy what we are doing, we become light as a feather and life is rich with nectar. Now, having said about the cannot walk, I want to go back to something about woodpeckers. Woodpeckers, if you watch them, they don't land on tree limbs. They land on the tree itself and grab a hold of the bark. All the years of observing birds and woodpeckers, I have yet to see a woodpecker sit on a limb like, a wren or a cardinal or something like that. They just don't do it usually. Not to say they won't, but anyway. So that's also a trait that, dragonfly and hummingbird, interesting that both of them have that type of wing thing going on. So, no other bird can fly backwards. The hummingbird can reach high speeds as it takes off. It can also stop immediately in flight from a high speed. It is such a skillful flyer and is not afraid of any predator. Hummingbirds have been known to chase off eagles. Think about it. A little gnat to a. Hang on, y'all. Hello, you're live online with Hawkeye Two Feathers and 16 people in the chat.
Okay, well, I just want to wish y'all a blessed day, and God bless everybody, and we will talk to you later on.
All right, is there anything important, or you just want to chat? Which is fine.
I was just wanting to chat, brother. Love y'all.
Love you too, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. So that's my friend from north of me, and we've been friends for, 25 years or so. But anyway, no other bird can fly backwards. This reflects the hummingbird's ability to explore the past and to draw from its nectars of joy. The hummingbird can help you find joy and sweetness in any situation. Its swiftness is always a reminder to grab joy while you can, as quickly as you can. Because of its iridescent colors, the hummingbird has been named for jewels and glittering stones, i.e., the ruby-throated hummingbird. It has also come to be associated with the fairy realm. One species has been called the wood nymph hummingbird, and another the purple-crowned fairy. The iridescent colors have also caused it to be associated with rain. More specifically, it is associated often with the rainbow of promise that follows the rain. To the Pueblo Indians, the hummingbird's rainbow coloring, its great strength in flying, and its hovering above flowers has associated it with various ritual practices. Prayer sticks and ceremonies were used to bring the rain and to help with endurance. Hummingbirds are big eaters, and most of their food is comprised of the nectars, sugars of the flowers, although they will also eat tiny insects. The hummingbird may eat 50 to 60 meals a day. Because of its small size and its high degree of activity. It loses body heat quickly, so it must digest food quickly. Are you getting too much or too little? Are you hypoglycemic or hyperglycemic? Are you not getting enough sweetness in your life? Are you not savoring the sweet things of life? Hummingbirds are very playful, even when bathing, and they bathe often. They play in the water. They also seem to fight with each other, although no one seems to ever get hurt. Now, scientists pretty much agree that these are the only mock fights for exercise and fun. Hummingbirds are fiercely independent, except when mating, they like to be alone and free, seeming to revel in that freedom. During the mating ritual, the male does anything he can to gain the attention and affection of the female. If the female chooses the mate, she returns the attention, otherwise, she just flies off. Mother hummingbirds are hard workers. This is necessary, for they receive no help from their mate. She will usually lay 2 eggs, again, very symbolic. 2 is the number of the inner self, the feminine, to which we must give birth and expression to find our own joy. Hummingbirds are master architects. They build their homes with great care and design. Some are very intricate, but each is unique unto itself. The hummingbird has taken up residence in you. You may wish to redecorate. It may be telling you to do something to create joy in the home. 1111 here. Hummingbirds can also hibernate overnight. The body temperature will lower, its feathers will ruffle up as insulation, and it will assume a state of torpidity. It will appear to have died on its perch. This is done to prevent exhausting the energy supplies necessary for it to live, while allowing it to rest. For those with hummingbirds as totems, it is important to get regular and deep sleep and rest. It will be necessary so that you do not burn yourself out. So, Teresa, if that is your thingy, then take heed. Ruby-throated hummingbird is a wonder of migration. Every winter, it makes an amazing journey. For several days, it will eat and eat and eat and eat, storing up food and energy in its tiny body. Then it will fly for days and days to get to a warm climate. Some have been known to make a journey of 2,500 miles from Alaska to Central America. Scientists still are unsure how it is able to store up enough energy to accomplish such a journey, but it does, and because of it, the hummingbird is a symbol for accomplishing that which seems impossible. It will teach you how to find the miracle of joyful living from your own life circumstances. So, hummingbird. All right. I'm going to take a quick coffee break. If anybody, pesky squirrel, does anybody have any particular animal totem? Now, this includes insects, okay? Insects, I didn't see anything about fish in there. I've been skipping back and forth through it. Anyway. So, we've read Hummingbird several times out of this book, and it very much goes along with the other explanation. So, Hummingbird is associated with the ghost shirt religion, which taught that a certain dance done properly would bring about the return of the animals, and that white people would disappear. We all need to be doing the hummingbird thing, but anyway. You're welcome, Colbin. Was that yours? The hummingbird? Um, and that white people would disappear. Once again, the original people would know the joy of the old ways. And I kind of talked about that today in the video earlier today, in that, the ascension thing. So, um, and some of the ancient prophecies say that, the white man will be, eradicated, kind of, sort of, and that the old ways will come back. And I've known in my heart for a long time that whatever was supposed to come, that I was supposed to be one of those left behind, if you will. And that might be a good thing considering what the alternative is, but in that I was supposed to stay and help be a caretaker, whatever that meant. So once again, the original people would know the joy of the old ways. In Mayan teachings, Hummingbird is connected to the black sun and the fifth world. Hummingbird can give us the medicine to solve the riddle of the contradiction of duality. The song of Hummingbird awakens the medicine flowers. Hummer sings a vibration of pure joy. Flowers love Hummingbird because their nectar sucking brings about the reproduction of their families, meaning the flowers. Plants flower and live because of Hummingbird. Brown bear, okay, elderberry. Hummingbirds can fly in any directions, up, down, backwards, and forwards. Hummingbird can also hover in one spot and appear to be motionless. Great Spirit created Hummingbird to be slightly different from other feathered creatures. Because of their magical qualities, hummingbird feathers have been used for a millennium in making of love charms. It is said that hummingbird conjures love as no other medicine does, and that hummingbird feathers open the heart. Without an open and loving heart, you can never taste the nectar and pure bliss of life. To brother and sister hummingbird, life is a wonderful land of delight, darting from one beautiful flower to another, tasting the essences and radiating the colors. If hummingbird is your personal medicine, you love life and its joys. Your presence brings joy to others. You join people together in relationships which bring out the best of them. You know instinctively where beauty abides and, near or far, you journey to your ideal. You move comfortably within a beautiful environment and help others taste the succulent nectar of life. Hummingbirds holds the bow of beauty, which is delicately inlaid with gold and silver flowers, pearls, and precious jewels. Hummingbird disdains ugliness or harshness and quickly flies away from discord or disharmony. If Hummingbird is flown into your cards, get ready to laugh musically and enjoy Creator's many gifts. Drop your judgmental attitude and relax. Hummingbird would no doubt give you a flash of the spirit, darting here, there, and everywhere. Get ready for a strange new burst of energy, which may send your senses reeling. Hummingbird hears celestial music and is in harmony with it. Hummingbird may invite you to an art museum or a concert. Hummingbird energetically embraces the highest aesthetics. Never be coarse in front of Hummingbird, for this is a fragile medicine that may have no understanding of worldly affairs. Beauty is the target, and Hummingbird's mission is to spread joy or to be destroyed. Hummingbird quickly dies if caged, caught, or imprisoned. Follow Sister Hummingbird, and you will soon be filled with the paroxysms of joy and experience a renew of the magic of living. So that's a follow up on that. Somebody said brown bear? Brown bear? Brown bear, like 2 minutes ago, what happened? You shift, you sense big energy shifts. You know, Project Skyfalls, I have tried not to say that out loud, but that's exactly what the spirits have told me. That I would be here, not necessarily, but and not just a spiritual guide, but you know, if the crap does hit the fan, there's just a lot of stuff I know. I may not be able to go out and cut a tree down, but I'll show you how to do it without killing yourself. And you know, anyway. So bear. Oh, I was right on it, and I went past it. So, in many traditional discussions about some of these critters, you know, there are different types of woodpeckers, but in general, the woodpecker has this quality. So, same thing with bears: black bear, brown bear, polar bear, grizzly bear. It's the bear that you want to know about. Okay. And if it's a brown bear, it may be that where you live are brown bears. Not necessarily always now, but just saying. It's 11:21. Ooh, I missed it. Smoke if you got them. It's been an hour since I did. So I'll get to the bear in just a minute. I got it marked, but I'm going to take a quick smoke break and a drink. Been here for an hour and 42 minutes. I love you all. Yes, Earth's having to prepare for solar winds. Yep. A lot of stuff. I said that earlier today, and you know, about climate and so forth. It's natural. And now there are people out there going, "Oh, we just got hit by another energy wave. Just got hit by another solar. We just, you know." So, and can we stop the sun from doing it? Nah. So we just have to accept it, you know, and you know, keep our heads down and be aware of stuff, you know. Today's still being my sister's birthday. It's 11:22, so it's still her birthday. She turned 66 today officially, and I'm 68 and a half, you know. So um the idea oh oh well, I had something and I missed it. Stoned and I missed it. It went over my head. More coffee. Yeah, as far as being the guide, that's sort of what I was saying, you know, that as old as I am right now, you know, it depends. And I think that I am fulfilling that which I was destined to do in having these conversations and hanging out with y'all. Today's your son's birthday. Well, blessings. Honestly, a lot of February births kind of thing. So, anyway, another sip. Who said their son was listening? Um, I missed that. I just want to say hi to your son. Here comes Bear, okay? It's a lengthy one, so I'm taking a break before I get there. Elderberry, okay. Elderberry, and for your son, I'm coming. I'm going to talk about Bear in just a minute. Allowing David C. might have got early like I did. You know, the fact that my daughter's, you know, pushing 50, you know, and my son's, you know, a couple years behind her. So, You know, I think back my sister, she's the same way in that, uh, we both had children young, not quite as young as I did for my sister, but, it's there. Anyway, we were screwing around early, you know what I mean? So, bear, awakening the power of the unconscious. That is the keynote. In other words, what sort of like the medicine cards want to discuss, right? So in this book, he calls it the keynote. And the cycle of power is spring and summer. Bear is a powerful I'm reading two words at once. The bear is a powerful symbol. It may be my glasses. Maybe not. The bear is a powerful symbol and image in both myth and lore. Stories abound of individuals turned into bears and bears into humans and bears as gods. It has stirred the imagination so much that even a constellation was named for it. Ursa Major, the Great Bear. But Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper, is also the Little Bear. 7 stars of this constellation are probably the most easily recognized in the Northern Hemisphere. These 7 stars form the Big Dipper. Now, consequently, Teresa, you and I were talking about Pleiades and the 7 sisters, but if you look at the star cluster of the Pleiades, there is a crap load of stars in that cluster. But there are also 7 stars, which I had not realized, in the Big Dipper. And they have links to the 7 great rays of light of the divine. The bear has lunar symbology as well, giving it ties to the subconscious and even the unconscious mind. It was an animal associated with the goddess Diana, a goddess of the moon. It is also a symbol for alchemy, the Negretto of prime matter. It relates to all initial stages and primal instincts. Like birds, the bear is often considered among Native American peoples as kin to humans because, like birds, it can stand, walk, and walk upon 2 legs. For many ecologists believe that how humans responded, for many, the bear and the wolf are the last true symbols of the primal natural world. And many ecologists believe that how humans respond and protect their lands and their future will be the most honest deception of how seriously humanity is about preservation of our environment and the natural resources within it. Now, let me use a caveat in that it has been said by many native peoples, shamans, and folks that if there are bears living in your area, then it will sustain human life. If it can keep a bear alive, it'll keep a human alive. So, Johan, good sleeping to you. Pleasant dreams. The bear is the largest of the carnivores, but it will eat almost anything. It is omnivorous, eating both plants, fruits, and meat. It actually eats less meat than many smaller carnivores such as the fox. Contrary to popular belief, bears do not truly hibernate. They do live a great degree on their stored up fat. The body temperature will drop around 13 degrees, and the breathing rate will be cut in half. The depth of their sleep depends greatly upon the amount of fat stored. This reflects the bear's ability to teach those with its totem how to go within to find the resources necessary for survival. Boy, I can get that. Bear can teach you to draw upon all your inner stores of energy and essence, even of those which have never been tapped or accessed. Meditating and working with bear will help you to go within your soul's den, your inner sanctum, to find your answers. During the winter sleep, the black bear's kidneys shut down completely, and scientists are studying this activity, hoping it will provide clues to more successful kidney transplants. Interesting. Physicians Physicians would love to find a way to duplicate this in humans so that diseased kidneys would have a time to heal. This is part of what bear medicine is all about. The kidneys serve a vital function of the body, excreting urine and also filtering the blood plasma. Metaphysically, the kidneys are symbols of discernment and discrimination. If error shows up in your life, ask yourself some important questions. Is your judgment off? How about those around you? Are you not recognize what is beneficial in your life? Are you not seeing the core of good deep within all situations? Now, I have discussed this, regardless of how bad it is, try to find something good in it. Are you being too critical of yourself and others? Are you wearing rose-colored glasses? Bear medicine can teach you to go deep within so that you can make your choices and decisions from a position of power. All bears are astonishingly swift. The black bear and grizzly can reach running speeds of 35 to 40 miles per hour for short distances. All bears, including polar bears, can climb. Only the size of the tree will discourage the climbing. Bears are often associated with trees. Nature programs love to photograph bear cubs high up in trees or adults scratching themselves up against them. There are even bear trees marked with claws as signposts along a well-worn and traveled path of a particular bear. Now, I've been up in Cades Cove in Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains National Park kind of thing. And there are bears all over the place. And, it was really interesting. People stopped along the road one day and I took some pictures. And all these people I did a little bit of video. And there are people walking across this open field towards this tree. And from the road, it's maybe even 100 yards away from this tree. And there are two cubs up there and a mama bear. Well, everybody's like, ooh, look at the bears. And they're getting right up towards the tree. And then the mama bear comes down and you see all these people scatter in all directions. It's funnier than hell. But anyway, the tree is a powerful and ancient symbol, just like the bear. It is a natural antenna linking the heavens and the earth. So for those of you who may remember me talking about meditating with a tree, different trees have different vibrations, but if, a tree is a powerful and ancient symbol, just like the bear. It is a natural antenna linking the heavens and the earth. Different trees do have different meanings, as was discussed in an earlier part of this text, but in general, it represents knowledge. So you want to meditate with a tree, there's knowledge there. It is the symbol of fertility, of things that grow. As bear teaches you to go in and awaken the potentials inherent. In other words, those things which we're all born with, actually. The tree serves as a reminder that we must bring what we awaken out into the world and apply it. make our marks with it. Anyone with a bear totem should keep the cub in themselves alive and occasionally climb trees, if only to get a clear perspective. For those with a bear as a totem, it is important not to hide away and to try to hibernate all year round. You must come out of the den. This is even reflected in the birthing process of bears. Females give birth during their heavy sleep with semi-hibernation stages. Usually 2 cubs are born, sometimes 3. They are born helpless and semi-conscious. The cubs nurse in the safety and warmth of the den throughout the winter. As spring approaches, the mother and her cubs will emerge. The cubs will have become strong enough to follow their mother. This is tremendously significant for those working with the bear totem. It often reflects a need to go deep within yourself, to have periods in your life when you can be more reclusive. During these times, you will be able to go within yourself and even give birth to 2 or 3 ideas or projects. They can be nursed through the winter, and then as spring approaches, emerge with your babies to help them grow. So now is that time for, the hibernation. So we come up with ideas that will spring forth in the spring. Those who have a bear as a totem will find this cycle of semi-hibernation and reclusiveness during the winter very natural. They will also find that with the spring will come opportunities to act more assertively in regard to that which has been nursed through the winter months. Bear people should be patient, though, as the cubs will usually stay with the mother for up to 2 years. This can reflect that those projects you have nursed may not come to full fruition until the 2nd year of the cycle. So we may think of something now and start working on it, but it may take 2 years for us to actually achieve where we wanted to go. Although distantly related to the dog, bear is a closer relative to the raccoon. There are a variety of bears. The most common bear is the black bear. This is a kind of misnomer, as not all black bears are black. Interesting. They can be brown, cinnamon, and various combinations. They are very playful, both as adults and as young cubs. This is a reminder for those with this bear as a totem. The largest bear is the Alaskan brown bear. A relative of the grizzly, the brown bear is relatively solitary. The grizzly has long been known for its strength and its ferocity. Although it can be quite fierce, it is not naturally aggressive. By far the most outstanding hunter of the bear family is the polar bear. This white bear has no fear. It has the most carnivorous and aggressive of all the bears. It is at the top of the food chain and has no enemy other than humans. It feeds to a great degree on seals, and those with this totem should study the quality of the seals as well. All bears have a great fondness for honey. Honey is the natural sweetness of life. It is usually found in the hives located in the trees, again reflecting a connection between bears and trees. It is a reminder for those with this totem to go within to awaken the power, but only by bringing it out into the opening and applying it will the honey of life be tasted. So, and it's interesting that trees, the raccoons befriend little bear in the woods. Yep. Project Skyfall, my YouTube channel will grow in 2 years. Okay, so it will, and don't kid about it, maybe it will, I know there are a lot more of you on this channel than I ever expected. So, and I'm just like, man, if I get 50 people, I'll be lucky. And, there's close to 500 folks now subscribed to my channel. And, I know not everybody shows up every time, but that's okay. But those of you who do, I'm very proud to know you and the fact that you are concerned about these things. because, on the back of this, it says reconnect with life's greatest teachers, nature, and I'm all about nature. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with the fact that this book has been in my possession since when it was originally, and I'm going to look that up. It says it was copyright in 1993, and the 15th printing was in 1998. And I think I got this book back in the late 90s. So I've had this book at least for 20 years, if not longer. But anyway, so this section just sort of opened itself up to me. If anybody's got an animal they want to know about, post it. I'm going to read some other things out of here. Like, for example, this is working with bird medicine and the symbolic qualities of birds. And so this is sort of a short explanation, I guess. So blackbird is equal to omens and mysticism, color of fear and promise. The bluebird is happiness and fulfillment, color of north or east. The canary has the healing power of sound and heightened sensitivity. Catbird, communication potential, new lessons or opportunities. Chickadee, sacred number is 7, seeker of truth and knowledge. Crow is equal to intelligence, watchfulness, magical past life connections. The duck, maternal, graceful, and comforting and protective. And they also are horrible critters to try to be around. They poo and shoot out I won't ever have another duck. Eagle, capable of reaching zenith, great perception, and bridging of worlds. The finch, new experiences, encounters, wide range, summer solstice. The goose, storytelling, fertility, and fidelity, the symbol of 8 and infinity. Interesting. I didn't know that about the goose. The grosbeak heals old wounds, family values, past lives, significance. Hawks, primal life force, fulfillment, spring and fall equinoxes. I feel that within myself. I didn't know that was a characteristic of the hawk. Kingfisher, halcyon days, peace and prosperity linked to north in the color blue. The loon, realizing dreams, haunting and eerie song and imagination. Magpie, occult knowledge, doorway to new realms, wily and willful. The meadowlark, cheerfulness, sublimation, inner journey, and linked to the moon. The nuthatch, applying wisdom to natural world, groundedness, and ethereal. The oriole, positive energy, reconnected with inner sunshine and nature spirits. The owl, silent wisdom and nocturnal vision, healing powers and magical. Peacock, wisdom and vision, ostentatious, protective, and powerful. The pelican, self-sacrificing, non-competitive, buoyant, rising above trials. The pigeon, love and security of home, fertility, and archetypal energies. The raven, shape-shifting, messenger or omen, blending human and animal. Robin, new growth, territorial, color linked to throat center. The starling, sociable, communicating, diversity, and forceful. The stork, related to humanity, connected to emotions, water, and the bird process. The swan, sensitive, emotional, dreamer, and mystic, longevity. The swift, feminine and psychic energies, speed, and agility. Now, there are some swifts that live under the bridge, just down upstream for me a little bit. And to watch them in the evening time or in the morning, they'll come flying around and they're just amazing to watch their aerial acrobats. Turkey, spiritual connection to Earth Mother and shared blessings. The vulture, purification, never-ending vigilance. Vigilance, okay. Guardian of mysteries. Woodpecker, weather prophet, drum beats into other dimensions. So that page just sort of opened itself to me to like, here, read some of these things here. So, you know, one of the things that's been interesting as a nature lover and so forth is that in watching nature, I've noticed the tremendous decline in feathers. And I'm hoping that this isn't true all over, but there just aren't as many birds as there used to be. Teresa's going to need to lay down. Okay, it's not quite 12, but I was not going to make this a long video, but it's been 2 hours already. So I'm going to talk a little bit about feathers. Feathers have long been associated with the wind, the mind, new flights, and all creator gods or goddesses. Now, the gods and goddesses have a small g in this book. They are a form of supplementary language, and as signs and gifts, they serve specific functions, the most common of which are, and they list them. So if you have feathers, found a feather, whatever, it is a direct connection to gods, goddesses, and specific divine forces, not just male or female, but divine forces. It's a form the god, goddesses, the divine force takes when traveling. They travel with feathers. It's also could be a signal between human and human. Okay. Qualities and characteristics within or around you, which you must deal with. A medicine or quality you can develop. So if you find feathers, maybe it's to help you to, you know, maybe fly in your dreams. There are a lot of other things. A link to teachers of specific aspects of nature, including animal, angelic, and/or fairy kingdom beings. Feathers could also be omens and signs. They can be tools for prayers, petitions, and an alignment with specific natural forces. Feathers can be a reflection of new changes and new leaps of consciousness about to unfold for you. Feathers can also call to unfold the wings of enchantment within your life. You don't have, every feather can connect you with specific archetypal energies of any bird. You don't have to have a hawk feather to link with hawks. Honoring and using any feather available will help you in your alignment. This is because all feathers relate to the human spirit and its innate connection to the divine. Even though there are general applications for any feather, each individual bird and its feathers must be examined for its own unique qualities if you are to understand its function within your own life circumstances. You must examine its characteristics and behaviors and draw the connections to your own life. So if you get a feather from um, a turkey or an owl, or so you would study that particular bird to understand what those feathers could help you mean. This is when you begin to understand the process of alchemy that is beginning to unfold in your life. Alchemy is the process of burning away the gross to reveal the gold beneath. You will begin to see the leaps into higher consciousness that are about to unfold. Birds and feathers have often been used as traditional symbols for the alchemical process, especially through the force of activation. The location and the activation of the birds will help you to determine how the alchemical process will manifest in your life. In alchemy, there is a two-step process to create distillation, the purifying and the condensing of a substance so as to extract its truest essence. One step is usually through volatilization, a heating up to dissipate and evaporate what is non-essential. The second step is through the precipitation and condensation, the extraction of the essence after the non-essential aspects have evaporated. Now, that is like a little technical, but if you want to get the oil out of something and it's mixed in, oil will float on top of water, no matter what kind of oil it is. And when you let it cool down, that oil or whatever may actually sink. It depends on the type of oil and water, etc. But so what they're saying, though, that with the use of a feather, first you must heat up the substance. So you heat up the area. You not necessarily aggravate it, but like if there's some old Scandinavian techniques, and maybe other than Scandinavian, that uses switches. And so people will literally run around a track, might not be very big. And there will be people standing on both sides. And you run through these folks and they will literally switch you with this. And they just hit you with this or that, and it's to stimulate the blood to the skin. So it's like some people say, you're beating these people. Yeah, up to a point. But I will manifest feathers. Good night. You have eagles and turkeys living on your place, elderberry? That's cool. Yeah, and one of the things that I've talked about before, and I talked about it the other night, is that, in learning to understand your inner self and instincts and whatever, I have literally been sitting here in the house and the spirits say, go to the river. And now I haven't found any feathers in a long while, simply because there just aren't any birds. I mean, it's unbelievable. So where I used to find bird feathers all the time, it's very rare now for me to find feathers. So, but I have been told to get up off my dead clunker here and walk a third of a mile down in the woods, and there will be, like brand new feathers, beautiful, just like laying there on top of a palmetto bush, just unbelievable. So, but a lot. When I was down in the woods again today with Duggar and walking in different places, and there aren't any birds yet, although they're coming back. But no signs of any kind of feathers or anything like that. And so I know it's February, but um, it seemed like before, didn't matter what time of year it was, I could find at least one feather. So I don't consider this to be a sign that I'm not connected anymore, because I'm sitting here with feathers right next to me. But in that, though, that it's a sign that nature is changing and that the birds that used to be here, I mean, I haven't seen a blue jay, which used to be common around here. I haven't seen a blue jay in 10 years, well, probably more, but I'm saying it's been at least 10 years. Come to think of it, it's probably more like 15. Bluebirds do not exist down here. And swamp birds that used to be like all over the place. So the primary birds that are left here are the hawks, the vultures, the turkey buzzards. There are a lot of turkeys around here. There are some dove, not as plentiful as there used to be. Quail used to be everywhere. They're hard to find anymore, especially natural quail. There are a lot of quails. A lot of quail hunting goes on about this time of year. And, but they're all pen raised. And they literally, I've seen these guys dump the quail out of the cage for a hunt and literally kick them to get them to fly up so that the hunter that's paid for this can shoot the bird. It's scandalous. But having worked with these people on some of these they're not preserved, they're plantations, and raising quails is a really big business. They'll pay good money for for quails. And some places quail eggs are a delicacy and all this other stuff. But to find quail in the natural habitat around here anymore, they're just not here like they used to be. Hunted out of extinction, and between the other types of critters who disappeared, quail were easy prey for other critters who were hungry. So, but anyway, so natural quail down here, not like it, not at anywhere. There used to be a covey of quail that had between 10 and 15 in the covey that I used to be able to watch circle my property. They do not exist anymore. You used to be able to see quail run across the road if you go down a dirt road or something. No quail. So anyway, but with that said, though, I've been here for almost 2 hours, and let me put my glasses back on. 2 hours and 17 minutes so far. So if no one has any other animals they would like to ask about, I'm going to cut this short at 2 hours and 18 minutes. I'm going to cut it short. I really haven't had any supper yet. And I need to, get some more coffee and that kind of thing. Also, when I do these really long videos, and I don't really mind, honestly, but like yesterday, it was all I could do to talk. Travis the Brick, how are you? So the pig, honestly, you want to know? Okay, this will be the last one for this evening. Now, hog, pig, wild boar, let me see what I can find in that respect. Pig. PIG hog. If anybody used to listen to Justin Wilson back in the day, the Cajun cook kind of thing, he would talk about, what I'm going to give me some PIG hog. I passed it if it's under the P's. Oops, it's not under the P's. Okay, it's not under pig. So let me look and see if it's under hog. goat, horse, groundhog, woodchuck. You know, there it goes from groundhog to horse to leopard. So that's interesting. I mean, with all the pigs and stuff all around the world, let me see if I mean, even in the index. Got bighorn sheep, bee, Bengal tigers, bat, bear, beasts. There's no hog in here. There's no pig, P-I-G, hog. What other? There's hog, pig, boar. They got a hedgehog, herrings, home, honey, honeycombs, horns, hope, horse. No hog. What else would it be called? Cardinals is a sign of loved one that has passed away is revisiting you. It's got pigeon, pipe, and pollination and pheromone, but there is no pig, no hog, and no boar. So, which is interesting. I mean, holy crap. There's no boar in the medicine cards either, as a matter of fact. So, well, I'm sorry. That's one animal that is just like has skipped two of the books that I know of. And, you know, like for up in the Appalachians, there are wild hogs around here, you know. In fact, I was coming home from my friend's house one night, and a whole pack of these damn things run across in front of me, scared the crap out of me. And they say that of all the animals, swine, okay, let me try that one. Let me go back here to the indexing and see if it's under swine. Nope, we got superstitions, swallow, swan, swip, swisher, and symbols. No swine. That's just that's just strange to me. I mean, because having been in the wild up in the Appalachians and not so much North Georgia as up in Tennessee and up in there, but you'd come around a corner and there'd be a bunch of these little boars, you know, with the little tuskies, you know, sitting there. So it's like, why wouldn't they have anything about the boar or the swine or the pig or anything like that? Maybe because it's a cloven hoofed or something, which I seriously doubt. I know the Indians used to barbecue them, you know. But anyway, you can pick the song as long as it isn't country music. Well, David Castle, shame on you. There's some really good country music out there, but it might actually be more into folk music. But anyway, I'm kidding. I don't even know what you're talking about. Nobody likes pigs. They always ruin a good time. Yeah, that's true. And if you've ever been around some of these areas where the hogs root, they'll mess up a spot in a heartbeat. You know, they'll tear up something rooting. So, but anyway, elderberry, Thanks for reminding me. I have a lot of flowers to send out this year. Uh, anyway, so Travis, sorry about that. That's one critter that I'm not necessarily stumped on, but I'm stumped on the fact that it's nowhere in any of my current literature that I have next to me. So, but so anyway, um, I would rather shut the car door on my testicles than listen to country music. I used to play country music on the radio at a radio station, and some of it I just wanted to puke. But there's some I can't. His last name or Barry something or something Barry, John Barry, I think, or something. And it's like the music is bless me. The music is sort of like um, just got back from Illinois, locked the front door. Oh boy, got to sit down, take a rest on the porch. I can't think of the name of the not the Lovin' Spoonful, but anyway, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. But anyway, but some of the country, which isn't necessarily, thank you y'all, uh, was more rock and roll than anything else. But because it had a little bit of a country style to it, they wouldn't put it in the rock and roll. And I'd play some of this stuff on the rock channel that uh, a station in Moultrie has country, and on the AM side, the morning is spent on, at least it used to be, was like gospel. The afternoon was more of a little bit of rock and roll. So every day we had an old rock show for like 3 hours, and I loved that because they had thousands of old 45s dating way back. And so, I was even playing some old Jethro Tull 45s. It was amazing. But anyway, and some folks that you never heard about, but I played them, was like, that's a really good song, but they just didn't get the airplay back in the day. A little bit of Hank Southern Rock, yeah. If you don't have self-love, then I don't want to date. CCR, thank you very much. But I think his name was John Barry, and he played at a local event. They have a farm show here every year, and I think this was John Fogerty. So it was sort of in that style. There was a southern rock band back in the day that was I think only the folks in Georgia and Florida and a couple of places knew about these guys. And they called themselves Duck Butter. And I don't know if they ever made an album or anything, but they were a lot like I got a freaky old lady named a Cocaine Katie who embroiders on my jeans. My poor gray-haired daddy driving my limousines. All right, who did that one? Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. Boy, you got that right, Project Skyfalls. I gave up dating because the women that wanted to be dated, how much money you got? What's your IRA? Do you have a new car? How old is your car? What? They sized you up and down, so you're dancing, cool beans. So the idea of country music, though, there's some of it I would consider as, because of the type of genre, it would follow under folk music. Yeah, me too, Michelle. I know I'm a quirky old dude, but I always try to get along. It's the other person who wants to crap in your face kind of thing. or take you for something, everybody has, and this is a shame, everybody has expectations. Well, I want this person to do this, and they must have that, and they must do this. And but what about this? Well, I'm sorry, can't do that. If you don't have central heat and air, never mind. Well, I don't, so never mind. What you burn? You have a wood stove? Yeah, that's the case. The lights go out, you can still stay warm. Dr. Coolio, yes. I won't crap in any faces. Well, good, Michelle. But don't tell your neighbors that, right? You gave them, oh, you gave it up too. Gotcha. So in cutting down my smoking, I'll smoke half a cigarette and put it out. And so this is the other half of the same cigarette over the last almost 3 hours. I don't know if they're digging for gold, but I got a lot of quartz around here, but they didn't want that shit. So you have crystals? Yeah. What are you? You're that crazy guy. You're the one with the little Ochlockonee River hermitage thing. You're a hermit, right? Yeah. Okay. Just saying. But it's not like, as a hermit, it's not like I don't ever want to go out. Now, I haven't been out because of all this COVID shit and the fact that my truck's acting up. And my good friend that we used to drive all kinds of places, in the middle of the night one time, she called me up at like 1 o'clock and said, "You want to go to the beach with me?" Seriously. My friend that's in the hospital, Miss Marsa. And I was like, "What?" And she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing, sitting here, was going to go to sleep, but well, how about I come over and let's get some coffee and I want to go see the ocean. What's the closest place?" And I was like, "Panacea, right? It's the closest place from here." And it's not really a beach. It's up in the panhandle. It's not the same kind of stuff that you get if you go a little further west towards Panama City, right? I mean, St. George Island's got these beautiful beaches. And if, 20, 30 miles to the east is, there are no beaches, they call it the flats, right? Because it's so flat and shallow. So, but anyway, she drove, we got coffee and everything. And, she came by and picked me up in about 20 minutes and we went to the beach, or we went to Panacea. She wanted the ocean, So we got up, we got out when we got there and walked up and down this quote little beachy area. It's not deep enough to swim in. So, but you can wade out up to your knees for a half a mile sometimes when the tide's right. And that's what they would do. They would take guys that go fishing, and they'd put on waders, right? Hip waders, and which are a bitch if they get full of water, by the way. But they would take a cooler and put it inside an inner tube, which had all their tackle and everything, and they would tie the inner tube onto their waist with a rope and go out and fish these holes in the flats. There are flounder and all kinds of fish that when the tide goes out, they'll find these deeper holes. And, that's why I say be careful, with those waders, because if you slip into one of them holes, your waders will fill up with water quick, But, there are guys I've seen, half mile offshore waiting, when the tide's right. So, and we did a similar thing around Carabel. We went out at a full moon. Oh, God, it was beautiful. I'll never forget it. And as we got out to the point from Carabel, which is a little more west from Panacea, not far, but, we went out there to sit on the beach and everything. And we got there and the tide was going out. So where we had beached the boat, after 20 minutes of walking along the beach, and we came back around the point, and now the boat is free floating. It's not beached anymore. The tide has come in so quickly that we literally have to swim to get the boat. It was interesting. But, there are places that, along that area along in Florida, they call the hidden coast or forgotten coast. And where Carabel is where they practice the landing. There's an island, there's a barrier island just off the coast there from Carabel. And that's where they practiced the landing during World War II of Normandy Beach. They practiced landing there back in the day. And there's no bridge to it. You can get there by, it's called Dog Island, by the way. And you can get there by boat, but you can't. Well, if the tide's out low enough, you could walk across the oyster beds, but it'll tear a pair of shoes up in a heartbeat. They won't be worth anything. And never go out in that area without shoes on, because your feet will get ripped to shreds within a minute if you touch your feet out on the quote on the bottom. So a lot of oysters out there, big oyster bars, whole sections of the place, just nothing but oysters. But anyway, so the tide is high and I'm going on. I'm gonna be your number one. Okay, who sang that one? This is Name That Tune night, or not necessarily the tune, but Harry. Anyway, I did that in Florida until I seen a big gnarly tooth shark by us. Ended that experience. Blondie, thank you very much, Michelle. Debbie Herring, not Harry, Herring, I think it is. But anyway, you're right. Crushed quartz and mixed with crushed coal that's been soaked in vinegar for a while. Mixed with some nitro gunpowder and roll it in a wet seaweed wrap and light it on fire in a jar. It'll produce gold. Interesting. Was it Harry? I thought it was Harrig or something like that. But anyway, A.K. Blondie, right. And, that lady from the Eurythmics, sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Follow the 7. Anyway, everybody's looking for something. But anyway, that is the name of the song. Cool, Michelle. So anyway, 2 hours and 38 minutes. Gonna take another hit off the bowl and wish you all. Yep, the tide is high, but I'm holding on. And right now, there's some high tide for us, and we gotta hang on to stuff. And Michelle, I want to again compliment you and commend you for doing videos. And anybody else that's out there, it's freeing in a lot of ways. Annie Lennox, thank you, David. First that did that video way back in the day, and it was like, wow, that was weird. You know what I mean? But weirdness is. Which to me, regardless of what they looked like, the fact that she had such a vocal range is what's impressive to me. So, but anyway, I thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. I hope this has been of some value to you all. The idea that for thousands and thousands of years, the message of the animals has been shown through different, the Greeks and the Romans, but also the native peoples, and how important it was for the animals to speak to us about spiritual things, and also to teach us about life in the physical. So, the more that I have, followed through with some of these things. Now, I want you to understand this. I am not obsessed with this. But at the same time, I'm always recognizing, ooh, there was a hawk. Ooh, there was a something. Ooh, there was something. And the fact that I saw it at whatever time it was could be an indication of something. But being aware of nature around us is the key. It's the awareness of things, not necessarily what every animal you see is. Oh, there's a totem, there's a thing. Well, wonder there's a bird sitting on a tree. What does that mean? It might just mean there's a bird in a tree. But if you feel some sort of connection when you see a bird or an animal or something, and they'll look right at you, and go, and you'll go, what? That bird just looked at me. So that's when you sort of say, let me look up this bird or this animal or something, and find out if there's a message there for me. So, but anyway, I love you all. Thank you, Project Skyfalls, Elderberry, and I hope if your son was listening that it made sense to him. And so I try and talk to my puppy. Yep, I talk to Duggar all the time, and he knows if I say I gotta, there's usually we're snuggled together on the bed, and if I say I gotta, he knows I'm probably going to say pee, so he's up and out of the way so I can get to the bathroom. So and we took a walk around a ways today, and he grabbed his tennis ball, went outside, liked to play, and then dropped it and hauled ass. And we got back in the house, and he picked up the ball like, come on, let's play. And I was like, I was just outside with you. We walked up to the mailbox, which is a considerable distance, right? I threw it across the field, and he like chased it, looked at it, and it kept walking. So, but then he comes in the house and says, okay, here's my ball, let's play. And I'm going, come on, but it's the understanding of he feels playful. It's nasty outside, it's raining, you don't want to be out there, neither do I, but he still wants to play. So there's the communication of the animals, and he's learning to understand certain words from me and phrases, and I use hand signs a lot, because in the woods, if I want him to come to me, I'll clap my hands and get his attention, and then I'll motion instead of calling him, because if he's extremely quiet in the woods, he doesn't bark and yip like little Sasha used to do all the time, bless her heart. I still miss that little four-legged. I mean, she was like this little poodle dog that was like literally like this long and this tall, and she used to run with a wolf. Literally, one of these days I'm going to find their little tiny little 20, maybe 30-second kind of little clips of the dogs running and playing in the river. I miss my little Sasha. She was so brave. But anyway, four-leggeds can teach us a lot. And that little four-legged critter who, was partially blind in one eye, when the property flooded many years ago, when she was alive, it's flooded now, but we went down to the river, and it was flooded the whole way. We got in our kayaks and literally paddled down to I call it a fish camp, but it's not necessarily for fishing. It's just the camp back there, right? So me and Jamie are down there, and we're sitting literally in ankle deep of water, sitting in a chair. We've got our kayaks staked out so they won't flow away. And we hear this barking and yipping and stuff, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. We decide to go down to the river, right? Crazy that way. So I hear this, and we get up and walk back towards the house down. Can't see the trail, but, between the trees, we're on this trail, right? And there's little Sasha who has swam through this deluge of water that in places are up to my chest. She swam through this torrent because she didn't want to be left behind. And we were both like, whoa, Sasha, what are you doing? So, but here's the thing, regardless of size or whatever, she showed me that regardless of who you are kind of thing, a little poodle dog that hated to be bathed and combed, was not into that stuff. She was a woods dog, loved it out there. She was a country dog. Don't leave me in the house, And, wherever I went in the swamp, she went with me. So after that point, I realized she's just going to go with me. I didn't leave her behind anymore. And she traveled with me in the kayak, and we did lots of stuff together. And, unfortunately, she died on 9/11 one year. went to the local dump to get rid of trash and stuff, and she got hit by a car that was, because she didn't see it coming around the curve, and he couldn't see the little dog on the side of the road, and she died. But she taught me so much in the several years that I had her about the strength of character, that you can swim the mightiest rivers. And I'm here to tell you, when the water's up that high, there are places on my property where it's really hauling ass. I mean, I have come close to drowning on my own property trying to wade through some of this stuff back in the day. And she swam through it. I still don't, Jamie and I looked at each other and was like, how'd that little dog get here? Faith and whatever. But, so I think about Sasha, and I think about this little tiny poodle dog that had all this strength and stamina in this little tiny dog that most people wouldn't have looked twice. The people who had the dog were like, please take her. We don't want her. She won't come in the house. She won't get, and she's got poo on her, and she this and that, and her fur's all nappy. We just don't want her. And I said, I don't want the dog. And I got home and felt so guilty. I called him up and said, I'll come get Sasha tomorrow, which I did. And I was so glad, shameful little dog, hated to sit still and get groomed in any way, shape, or form. But Woods, courage, there was, she took on that wolf that was a full-size wolf, a young wolf, but about a year old, and took it on. Darling, wrestle, jump in the water, didn't matter. She was like, it didn't matter. It was great. So, but we learn from all things, and that's one of the things as far as critters are concerned and four-leggeds, was a time in my life when I needed a little boost, and here's this little boost that she gave me. Now, I cried for a week after she died. And here in the house, I took her down to the river, down to where I made all my ceremonies, and I cremated her. And out of the ashes and out of the fire, I pulled a couple of her bones. And I know that there are people who say, you do what? And, yes, I have, one or two of Sasha's bones. And what do you mean? And it's like, it's not to be gross or anything, but I'm sorry. It's sort of like she's still here. But anyway, so I love you all. Be safe, stay warm, stay dry. It's going to be crazy this next week. So we've already had an inch of rain, and it's been raining now for the last couple hours. So I imagine that, the water's come up. A lot of water in my backyard. And with this rain today and tomorrow that's supposed to be here, that I might be able to literally take the kayak down out back and float around in the backyard. See how Duggar does, whether or not he gets in the canoe with me, or I'm sorry, the kayak with me or not. But anyway, so stay healthy, stay wise, and remember that I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Every day when I put my feet on the ground and I go outside with Duggar, I continue to play and pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. Remember that these animals and all things in nature are connected to the spirit world. And when we learn about the animals, we stay connected to the spirit. It just helps us. And in that law of three, which is important to me, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to learn to accept, receive, and to share the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, y'all. Stay calm as much as you can. And happy birthday, Project Skyfalls, to you. Yep, you too. Thank thank you, Project. I'll have a good night. Elderberry, I have all my dog's ashes to be put with me when I go. Travis the Brick, good night to y'all. Michelle, keep up the good work. And anybody else that's out there that isn't jumping in to say good night, we love you. It's okay. You don't have to be in the chat room. We love you anyway. Besides it, anyway, we love you. You don't have to be in the chat. So thank you for your participation. Keep up the good work. And cheers, my friend. All right. And you too, David Castle. And if I've missed anybody, my apologies. Thank you. Ed, there you are. Good night to you as well. So stay warm, everybody. And, you know, tomorrow's the Valentine's Day kind of thing. And, but also, if it's not raining, it's also the Daytona 500. Ooh. And I remember many years ago, back in the 60s, when AJ Foyt and them folks were racing, I went with my dad and grandpa, and I think one other person, and we went to Daytona for the races. And I still remember it. You know, it was coming out of turn 4 or whatever, going down the straightaway, and where a lot of accidents and stuff have happened. You know, so, but anyway, there are a lot of folks that NASCAR and all that. I don't know. Somehow racing got in my blood at an early age, and especially like Daytona, the several of those kind of races. It has nothing to do with NASCAR. It has everything to do because I have raced cars before in my life. I got a sports car out there that needs fixing, and it's rated. The tires have to be rated for 150 miles an hour because this little Toyota will do it. Okay. And, you know, shame on me for thinking that I was going to get another car. No, I need to spend the money and get that thing running again. Because it's like super duper and the body's still in good shape. Unless, but anyway. But so if you're about and or anywhere, you know, inclined, Daytona 500's tomorrow in case it rains. So, and maybe they'll push it to Monday, who knows? But anyway, I always, you know, find it interesting. Judy was wondering if you were still on there. Happy Valentine's to you. And if you're honest to goodness in Colquitt County, give me a call sometime, just to chat. I've talked with people in British Columbia and up in the Northeast quadrant kind of thing, and Kentucky and Florida and Texas and Arkansas and Ohio and places. And but I don't know anybody in Colquitt County. So that's interesting. So good night, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Stay safe, honestly. TTFN, cheers. And we love you. Until next time. Thank you, David, and everybody for your participation. We do love you. Bye-bye.